Welcome to a special holiday season edition of Talking About Kids. I am your host, R. Bradley Snyder, researcher, activist, and author of The 5 Simple Truths of Raising Kids. This episode is being released on December 24th, or Christmas Eve in my culture. And Christmas Eve always reminds me of my favorite Christmas story from one of my favorite writers. I'm talking about A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I doubt there's a person in an English-speaking country who is not at least a little familiar with A Christmas Carol or its central character, Scrooge, from one of its many iterations. I think Dickens' view of Christmas is summarized early on in the book by Scrooge's nephew, when he asserts that Christmas is, quote, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem, by one consent, to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys, end quote. Really understanding others and even oneself seems so very central to the book. In other words, I think A Christmas Carol is about developing empathy. Listeners to Talking About Kids are familiar with empathy. Writing for fellow physicians, James Hardy defines empathy as, quote, the process of understanding a person's subjective experience by vicariously sharing that experience while maintaining an observant stance. Empathy is a balanced curiosity leading to a deeper understanding of another human being. Stated another way, empathy is the capacity to understand another person's experience from within that person's frame of reference, end quote. And sociologist Karina Schoeman notes, quote, in general, empathy is a powerful predictor of things we consider to be positive behaviors that benefit society, individuals, and relationships, end quote. In study after study, empathy predicts charity, cooperation, less bullying, less bias and racism, better outcomes in classrooms, and even fewer crimes in society. And while some studies indicate that empathy is on the decline, it is something that can be fostered. Social emotional learning helps develop empathy in children. And for adults, developing empathy starts with the desire to do so. Starting with that desire, research shows that adults can become more empathetic by seeking out different human experiences. By looking for common ground, such as shared interests, between you and other people you encounter. By asking open-ended questions to other people. And by reading fiction. And speaking of reading, if you are looking for a novel to accompany your holiday merrymaking, might I suggest A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Thank you for listening. For more information about the research I cited, please visit talkingaboutkids.com. From there, you also can find out about upcoming episodes, suggest a topic, learn more about me and my books, or submit your questions for future guests. Our theme song is by The Senators. For more of their music, go to thesenatorsmusic.com. Full episodes of Talking About Kids are paused for the holidays, but be on the lookout for more mini special holiday episodes like this one, and for announcements about the second half of Season 3. And remember, Kids are young goats and young children, and the difference is that young goats are easier to manage.